Hello friends, welcome to the class on consumer behavior. Today the topic of the class is diffusion of innovation. Before starting the class, I want to ask you a question. Do you know when the smartphones were introduced in the world? Now we are using 4G or 5G phones. These are known as fourth generation or fifth generation phones. Do you remember the day when the first generation 1G mobile phone was launched? It was on 6th March 1983. The first 1G mobile phone was launched in USA. In 1990s, the second generation 2G mobile phone systems emerged. In 1993, the first smartphone was launched. After 8 years, in 2001, 3G was introduced. Thus, it took a time period of 10 years to grow from 1G to 3G. In 1983, when 1G phones were introduced, it was demanded by thousands of customers. By the end of 2007, there were 295 million subscribers on 3G networks worldwide. 2 years after, in 2009, the 4G came. Now it is the time of 5G, fifth generation smartphones. In 2020, the number of smartphone users in the world is 3.5 billion, which comes to 45.15% of the world population. It means that now nearly half of the total population in the world is using smartphones. Some others are still using other types of feature phones also. In total, the number of people that own a smart or feature phone is 4.78 billion. It comes to 61.67% of the world population. Thus, mobile phone users grew from some thousands to 4.78 billion by this period. In 1983, mobile phone was an innovation, and in 1993, the smartphone was another innovation. Every innovation is a fresh and new idea with a better technology, and later it becomes part of human life. Have you ever thought about the time required to spread an idea or technology among the people? Do you know how and why the mobile phones get such an acceptance? Do you know how an innovation gets popularity and wide acceptance in society? The present topic of the class, diffusion of innovation, is discussing the spreading process of an innovation across populations. It discusses how the innovations are accepted by the people and the process of spreading innovations across the people all over the world. The word diffusion is used to denote the spreading process of an innovation. Diffusion is the process by which an innovation is communicated over time among the participants in a social system. The concept of diffusion of innovation was introduced by Everett Rogers in the year 1962. He is well known for the book titled Diffusion of Innovation. In this book, he explains the theory of how innovations and ideas spread across populations. He says, in a social system, the innovation is communicated by the process of diffusion. He uses the word diffusion to express the idea of spreading the new product. According to him, diffusion is the process by which an innovation is communicated through certain channels over time among the members of a social system. Diffusion of innovation is a theory which explains how innovation is adopted by the population, how much time it takes to spread, and finally whether the innovation actually succeeds in bringing a change in society or whether it fails in the process. The diffusion of innovation theory analyzes how the social members adopt the new innovative ideas and how they make the decision towards it. Now we can look at the elements of diffusion of innovation. What is actually meant by the elements here? We know that the diffusion process is possible only through spreading knowledge about the innovation, and to provide knowledge, both mass media and interpersonal communication are needed. These can be considered the main elements in the diffusion process. Everett Rogers proposed 4 elements of diffusion of innovation. These 4 elements play major roles in the diffusion process. They are innovation, communication channel, time, and social system. We can have a look at these 4 elements of diffusion of innovation. The first element, innovation itself. What is an innovation? It's a new idea or practice or a new method or a new product. The innovation should be perceived as new and must also be capable of getting acceptance and bringing some social changes. The speed and nature of diffusion process is highly dependent on the innovation. This means that the new product or innovation itself is the first important element in the diffusion process. The second element is the communication channel. The communication channels take the messages from one individual to another. It is through the channel of communication the innovations spread across people. It can take any form like word of mouth, SMS, a sort of literary work, print media, electronic media, etc. Thus, communication channel becomes another element. The third element, it is time. It is the duration or length of time taken to spread the innovation among people. It expresses the speed of getting the innovation adopted in a society. It is the time people take to get used to the new ideas. For example, consider mobile phones. How much time it took to spread among the people after it is introduced in the market. Thus, time becomes the third element in the diffusion process. The last element is the social system. Social system refers to all kinds of components which construct the society, like religion, institutions, group of people, etc. How the various components of a society are interrelated, or how the social interactions of people are taking place, all these are relevant in the spread of innovation. Now we can look at the three-way decisions in a social system. Rogers says that in a social system the decisions are taken through 3 ways. He suggested 3 ways considering the ability of people to make decisions of their own and their ability to implement it voluntarily. The first way is optional way. Some individuals take decisions to accept the innovation without any compulsion from any. Such people find new ideas and products attractive and choose them optionally. This is called optional way. The next is collective way. In this way, all individuals are collectively taking a decision to accept the innovation. Here the entire society as a group accepts the innovation collectively. The third way is way of authority. Here, few individuals make the decision for the entire social system. This is often done by governments and some leaders, and all the members are accepting this decision. During this time of coronavirus, some companies have asked their employees to use face shields while they work. Here the authority takes the decision and the innovation is accepted by the people under this authority. We know that whatever may be the element, it is ultimately the people who should accept and adopt the new ideas and products. It is the people who should take proper decisions whether to accept and spread the innovation. Generally, the word adoption is used by some to denote the diffusion. The word adoption means a kind of acceptance, but here the word adoption is used to denote the acceptance of a new idea or situation by an individual. Here the person is called adopter. Don't get confused with the two words, diffusion and adoption. Adoption is accepting an innovation by an individual, but diffusion is a social phenomenon. When all or more individuals in a society adopts an innovation, it is called diffusion. People are different in behavior and all cannot adopt the innovation in the same way. Some persons are ready to accept the innovation very quickly, but some others hesitate to go for a new idea or product. Based on the degree to which an individual adopts the innovation, the adopters have been categorized into 5 different groups. They are innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. You can see the innovation adoption curve here. Here the x-axis denotes time and y-axis denotes number of people adopts the innovation. At first we can see the innovators. Innovators are venturesome people. They are willing to take risks, have financial liquidity and interaction with other innovators. Such people come forward to use the new idea as a challenge. You might have seen people who wants to see the films in the releasing day itself. Or there are some people who purchases the brand new smartphones in the launching day itself. As per studies, such innovators belong to 2.5% of the customers. Next category is early adopters. The term early adopter refers to an individual or business who uses a new product, innovation or technology before it becomes widely known or used. These people are also interested in buying the new products without delay. They make up roughly 14% of the population. The next category is early majority. Early majority comes after innovators and early adopters. Such persons are ready to make use of new technology after observing its nature and functions. This group consists of 34% of population. After early majority, the late majority comes. They adopt an innovation only after a majority of people have tried it. They may have below average social status and little financial liquidity compared to early majority people. This group also consists of 34% of population. The last category is laggards. They are the last to adopt an innovation. These individuals typically have an aversion to changes. Laggards typically rely on traditions and usually in contact with only family and close friends. 16% of population is consisted of laggards. Now we can look at the stages in the diffusion process. Roger identifies the mechanism of diffusion of innovation theory through 5 stages. These 5 stages are knowledge, persuasion, decision, implementation and confirmation. The first stage is knowledge. Knowledge is the awareness about various aspects of the innovation. It may be about the uses, operations, price, benefits and consequences of using the product, etc. An individual who comes to know the product may not buy and use it unless he has sufficient knowledge about the innovation. Therefore, knowledge is the first stage in the diffusion process. Next stage is persuasion. In this stage, an individual who comes to know the innovation is showing more interest in the new innovation. Under the stage of persuasion, he is seeking for more information about the new idea or product. The third stage is decision. In this stage, an individual analyzes the positives and negatives of the new idea or product and decide whether to accept or reject the innovation. Decision stage is considered the most relevant phase of diffusion process. If the decision is positive, the diffusion process will move positively. Otherwise, it will be a break for the diffusion process. The fourth stage of diffusion is implementation. Under this stage, individual starts to use the innovation. Thus, he identifies more about the innovation and collect more information about the usefulness of the innovation. The final stage is confirmation. At this stage, the individual finalizes the decision and continue to use the innovation with full potential. Okay, hope that you could understand the topic well. We will have further discussions in the coming classes. Thank you.